the CSS form design tutorial for beginners. In this video, we will continue on with the form, or at least with the form that we have, but now build a proper form for your inputs. So right now we have this, and this is really beginners because you can see it's very basic what we have. However, this basic already looks very appealing already because it's very minimalistic. And what they always say, less is more, which is correct as well. Less is more with design. The more white space you have, the more appealing it is. So what we're going to do is we want to put this now in a flex box. And what we're going to do with the flex box is we're going to push it in the center here and start to work around with it. So how can we do this? Well, we have here an input box, and maybe we can change this eventually to a form. So we use the form tag. And if you refresh, nothing happens basically. So the form tag is basically helping you to indicate what's the form, and that's why you have the submit button here. Understand that everything within this form will be submitted. So let's start and work on it. So what we want to do here is basically we push this all here to the center in a nice flex box. So what we're going to do here, we say for the form, which is the input box, we have this one here. And if you have not seen this, please watch my other videos where I discussed about how we did all of these items. Alright, so in here, we're going to work on this, and we say here the flex box. So we say display, flex, and what we want to do is we want to push this to the center here, put it all here nicely in the center, and make it here in a column design. So every item will be up, and then the next will be low, etc., etc. So we're going to do this. So first put in here flex to make sure that this is a flex. So once we do this, we refresh, you can see now everything is next to each other. Even the space has been removed. That is fine. Next thing what we want to do is here, we want to put in here the justified content. And with justified content, you can put in the flex, or we can put it in the center. Or what we can do here is we will say here a space between. Let's look how that will look like. Alright, so that will maximize the space here. If it's for inline, this is fine, but I want to have a column here. So I'm not sure if this is the right way because it will spread out all over the page here. However, we will see. We will see most likely center is probably the most logical one. We'll push everything to the center. Alright? So once we have this, the next thing what we want to do here is to say here align items center. Meaning that they are also vertically aligned. Right now this here is horizontal alignment. Oh, this is horizontal alignment. Horizontal alignment. And the reason why is because it's like this, left and right. So this here is vertical, going up and down depending on how much space there is. Right now we have not indicated any height. So you will not see any difference here, as you can see here. So let's open up our developer tab and let me show you. So you can see here, this is space, but what happens if we say here the height is 100 pixels? Oh, no, I don't want that. Alright, that's already there. You can see here, everybody starts to do something, but if this is 400 pixels, you can see it goes in the center wherever it is. Alright, so this is what we want. So we say here, height, and then I want to have the 100% of the viewport. So horizontal viewport, meaning just my screen, what you see here. Once I refresh, it goes here in the center. However, the positioning is not correct. What I want to do, I want to put it in a column here. So let's put it in a column. So we say here flex direction, and in here we're going to put in a column. So this will be all stacked on each other. So we say here flex direction column. Save this. There we are. So now we have this, and maybe we should have some space between here. Justify column. And so we say space around. That's maybe even better. So it will have around, but it will have space here up and down as well. Is this a better way to do it? I am not certain by this. So what I will say is I'll just leave it here center. And what we have to do here basically is to put in some space between here by using paddings. Or margins, sorry. We have to use margins on all of these items here. So how can we do that? Well, let's look here. What is our classes here? And if you've already followed my other parts, you already know that this is the transition, it's the class here, which I think transition is maybe not the right name to use it, but that's alright. Transition here, we say here, not padding, margin. Why not padding? So let me explain why not padding. If you put in padding, it will include it in the box here, in the content box. including the border. So this is the border, and that will basically be included. So it will just stay within here, but you need to be outside the content box. And I'm talking about content box here because we have the border box sizing, sorry, not the content box, the border box. We are in the border here. The content box is this one. Border box is everything from the border, padding, and the content within. So we need to be outside of the border box. I need to watch how I'm saying. Outside the border box, which is the margin. Alright, so what we're going to do here, that's why in the margin here. So we say transition margin, and here we can give maybe a 20 pixel margin. And what we will do here as well in the submit button, we also do here margin 20 pixels. Save that, refresh, there you are, that starts to look quite nice. And what I don't want here is maybe we should make this more bigger, and this might need a proper design. I realize that this should have maybe a slightly different design because you will be confused thinking that this is an input as well, which is not. So for now it's alright. That's why we have also the pointer, but if you are a mobile person here, well, maybe here we would say submit details form. This might need some extra design just to stand out that this is not a proper or not an input form. But that's alright for now. So what we're going to do here now, we have our form, which is the input box. We have the column direction. We put in the margin. What we can do here, of course, is increase our space here with having a border line around it. So what we can do here is we say border. We can say 3 pixels, solid. And then we say here 999. Save that. Then we get this here. Well, this is maybe not the right thing unless we do here in margin. Let's give it a margin 50 pixels. Save that. There we are. So we have now something here, although this is quite big in my opinion here. But that's alright for now. We could do this, maybe reduce this. If we do this vertical height 50%, that's alright. That looks slightly better here. So we have a nice design here. And the width could be with 50% as well. We can say here width 50%. There you are. Or what we could do as well is to create, not in here, but we create a div. So this is an item as well. For example, you want to control here this, but the width should be whatever it is in here. So that would mean, how can you control the width of an item if you don't want to use this item here? What I mean by that is the width 50%, because you would just want the width should be dependent on whatever is in the item itself, or the content. It should depend on the content within that box. Alright? So this is a very useful skill to know, or at least to understand. This is why display, what is that? Inline box becomes important. Inline box basically grabs the width of the content itself. That is within. But that means that we need to be outside of here. Meaning, this one is the form. So we're going to create another item here. And this item is a new div. And this div will be class. And here will be the box. I'll just make this a box itself. Just very straightforward box. Nothing special. This is the input box. So this should be the form. Input form. And this will be the box form. Or something like that. We could give it a proper name for that. So for now, this is fine. Then I will say here dot box, and here we'll say display, and this display will be inline block, and here we will say margin. Oh no, sorry, no we can do margin here probably, but probably it's not necessary if you have a margin already set here. And then we say here border solid 3 pixels, and then 999. Save this. A refresh. Now we get this. Alright. Where we get here already the item here. And I think we can even remove this margin here. Probably can move that margin. What I want to do with that margin, I will put it here just to push this away from the corner. That's alright for now. Save this. Refresh. Alright. So now we have our item here. But you can see we have the border in here that we have created here as well. We can remove this now. And what happens now is the width of this item here is very dependent on whatever is in here. So I can say here as well, I want to make this one maybe full length or matching length here, but then it will be very identical, but that's all right for now. So I say here, button width 100%. All right. Oh, that's not what I wanted. 100%. And we can see here what's going on. It gets this, and this one is overruling. And the reason why it's overruled is because of the margin left and right. So we have to probably do here some extra work. So what we can do is this. So what is this? This is what we call margin collapse. Margin collapse means that the item is starting to overrule each other. But in this case here, it is a button. What we can do, let me double check here what's a display. If this is inline, or maybe it's an inline block. If it's inline, we can probably move it to an inline block, and it would solve the same issue. Or it's a block even, I was surprised. So it works here. And let's validate if inline block would work. We say here, inline, or display, inline block. Alright, so it doesn't work. So what we are going to do here is we just remove the paddings here. Let's do that. So here we have the width, we have here the margin, and the margin is basically the issue here together with the padding. And what we can do then in this case, because we have these buttons here, the padding left and right needs to be put in here. So in total the margin will be here left and right is 15, remember that. So I'm going to put this 15, and I say here 0. So we add up 15 here, this will be 35. Put this on 0, and then we should have a very consistent design. Oh, let me double check here. I am seeing something that is still overruling. So we have to double check here what's going on. With the margin here, I want to do one thing only here, 20 left and right. This is that left and right will be 35 pixels. Alright, but top and bottom should not adjust because that's what's happening right now. To save that, refresh. Alright, we get this now, and then I want to understand why are we here creating an issue. What is going on with this here? Basically what's collapsing this part here. Then you can here display inline. No, doesn't work. So what we need to do here is probably remove the width. The width is like overruling itself. So what's the width here? Say width. Alright, and while this creates this one here. So it has here in the item, so we're going to check what's going on here with the width and solve this specific item. So we say here the width. Alright, so after some checking, I was surprised. I couldn't figure out why. Eventually I figured out it was not our width here. We didn't put in here. We didn't set the width here. So that's why I was confused. Once we set in the width, everything needs to be 100% consistent, and then it works. So now we have this nice item here. Eventually we could push this maybe more in the center. We have display inline block. If you have flex, you can see flex inline could be as well. That might be a solution. If you push it to the center, well, let's try that one. Let's see if flex inline will respond in the way I hope it will respond. So we say here flex or inline flex, and then we say here what is that, flex direction, or no, we can do here justify content center, and then we say here align items center, pushing them in the center of the center, but of course height will be the 100% height of viewport, and this might even be removed. Let's save this and see what happens. Alright, that doesn't work, of course, because I'm creating here the issue. So yeah, that won't work for now. If I would remove this, put it in here, let's see what happens. That will work here. Flex inline doesn't work because we need to get the exact thing. So alright, so this doesn't work. Inline block. Probably I can put it in another div, and from there on we could take it over. So then the question is, why do we have this form here? What is the function of this form? The form had this one, alright, so we might be able to adjust this eventually. But for now, there's no need. So let's save that, refresh, alright. And then we could put this here. This one doesn't work as well, so that's it for now. Alright, so this is for now. What we're going to do eventually in the next video, I will explore how we can reposition this completely in the center. Most likely, and the most easiest way is to use a flex box and or refactor this part here, these two here and that. Thank you for watching this video, and I hope you enjoy it. And if you enjoy this video, you probably will enjoy this one as well. And if you're interested in chart.js, check out in the description box the link directing to my chart.js course where you can learn everything about chart.js. And finally, of course, make sure you subscribe to my channel.